Well, thank you everyone for coming along to this afternoon's webinar, which is a case study in using digital speaking portfolios. And thanks also to today's presenter, Nadine Early. Nadine is the Academic Director at ATC Language Schools in Ireland. So it's 7 a.m. where Nadine is. Thanks for joining us so early.
No problem. Pleasure to be here. Thank you. Okay, shall we get started then? I guess we have enough people in at this stage to get started.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so hello everybody. Good morning from Ireland. Good afternoon to you there in your part of the world. As Sophie said, my name is Nadine. I'm the Academic Director in ATC Language Schools. You are very welcome here today. So today I'm going to talk about using digital speaking portfolios, a project we're undertaking in our school at the moment. So the webinar aims to present a case study on digital portfolios for speaking practice among adult learners of English in our 2 schools here in Ireland. Now, this is in fact a project that we're currently trialing in our schools. We have not yet fully implemented it, I should say. It's a project idea I first came up with last September. Not long after we reopened again after lockdown. And although I had intended to start this project in November or December, in fact, it got delayed. I was very busy and I didn't really get started with it until March. So we are quite in the quite early stages in the project at the moment, but nonetheless, I'm going to share with you today the project so far. So the idea to trial the use of speaking portfolios came out of a sense that we probably shouldn't go right back to where we were pre-lockdown. To a varying extent, we had all learned about the use of various digital tools during lockdown that could be used in our lessons when teaching online. So for all our teachers, that involved taking their lessons to Zoom. For many, it involved using Google Classroom as a platform for sharing resources and Padlet for facilitating collaboration between students online. For some, it involved using online tools that could be used to help students practice and extend their language, such as Kahoot, WordWall, and Quizlet, all of which could be used to generate, games and quizzes and activities and that. So now we're back in the classroom and teachers are continuing to use most of these tools, apart from Zoom, although we do still have some online lessons for students who have to isolate. Certainly they're still using the last few tools here for kind of quick formative assessment of vocabulary, for example. However, teachers, they didn't use much screen recording when they were teaching online. And when they did, it was usually to give feedback on written work. When it came to oral presentations, students still gave their presentations live in the Zoom lessons, just as they had done in the classroom previously. So the idea came to me when I did a short training session in technologies and approaches to blended online and hybrid learning. The trainer there talked about the successes he had had over the years using digital portfolios, initially for writing, but laterally for speaking as well. So I decided that I wanted to try to introduce them into our school. I was particularly interested in the idea of speaking portfolios because the students who come to study with us on general English courses as opposed to exam courses, they leave at the end of their course with, hopefully a better level of English and a certificate with a CE4 grade on the front, or at least the CE4 level that they studied at, and a list of CE4 descriptors on the back to describe that grade to other stakeholders. And they leave with hopefully more confidence to better engage in interactive speaking activities in English. But I thought it would be nice to offer students the opportunity to leave with a portfolio of their speaking. Now, admittedly, not interactive speaking, but more productive speaking, you know, monologues, descriptions, presentations, but speaking nonetheless. I love this quote from Genesee, I think it is, and Upshur. They define a portfolio as a purposeful collection of students' work that demonstrates to the students and others their efforts, progress, and achievements in given areas. They say second language portfolios can have a very specific focus, such as writing, or broad focus that includes examples of all aspects of language development. And students should have their own portfolios, which can be a conventional file folder, a small cardboard box, a section of a file drawer, or some other such receptacle. Now, this was written in 1996, and needless to say, we've come a long way from keeping portfolio artifacts, you know, the things we put into a portfolio in a shoebox on a shelf at the back of the classroom. Nowadays, we can facilitate our students to quite easily create very sophisticated portfolios where they can log a variety of artifacts, not only of their written output, but their spoken output too. Yet, it doesn't really matter whether the portfolio lives in a file in a cabinet in the classroom or in the cloud. The principles behind what makes a portfolio valuable are the same. Their value in learning and the assessment of student achievement, their value in promoting independent learning and promoting reflection and possibly I think engagement with learning on a deeper level as learners strive to create prestige artifacts for their portfolios. Portfolios can be both intrinsically and extrinsically motivating. Creating your own personalized portfolio of your work can be very personally rewarding. And I found that some of the students in my study in particular have put some thought into how their profile, their portfolio looks, even though it's actually just a platform to log and share recordings. They're concerned about how the portfolio itself looks and is presented. And of course, extrinsically motivating because students can use their portfolios to demonstrate their speaking skills to other stakeholders. They can be shared to showcase speaking ability for entrance to a course of further learning or at a job interview, or to show their progress to a parent at the end of the school year, for example. So today we'll look at the training that we offer to students in creating digital portfolios and in the use of different tools for creating spoken portfolio artifacts. We'll also look at task ideas for speaking portfolios, and we'll look at possibilities for assessment and the role of reflection within the portfolio. So within our two schools, we're considering incorporating the use of digital portfolios into certain course programs, not all of them. So we plan to introduce the speaking portfolio into our free classes, which we offer every week to anyone who signs up. We offer 3 different classes: business, speaking and listening, and pronunciation. And each of those we offer at 3 levels. And it's a kind of, first come, first served basis. And then perhaps we might also introduce them into our intensive lessons. These are lessons which students book and pay for on top of their standard 20 hours general English per week. And these intensive lessons, they're 6 extra hours, and they focus specifically on the development of speaking skills. So there are 3 stages in this project, and we're currently at the first stage of research. So the academic director, that's me, I got volunteers on board, student volunteers from a B1 or intermediate level upwards. I developed training for them into how to develop and create portfolios. I developed 5 tasks for them to complete, and I'm in the process of giving them feedback on these 5 tasks. The next stage then is to trial it with teachers and students in the free classes, and then finally to look at the viability of implementing it in the intensive classes, and I guess depending on the response, possibly across the board. But I feel certainly initially it should be just an optional extra for students in the intensive classes and the free classes, and not for everybody, just to start small. Excuse me, and an optional sign up, so we're wouldn't be implementing it across the board. So in this first research stage, I started with an email, an introductory email, which outlined the purpose of the project and the benefits that I saw to the students. And we sent that out to all teachers and all students from B1 upwards. I created a Google Classroom to share all the training content and the tasks with the participants. I created training videos using Screencastomatic for all aspects of technology that the students would need to be able to use to participate in the project. I developed quite simple tasks around oral production and mediation, the type of tasks students would be familiar with from their lessons, but tasks that they would normally either write up for homework or deliver orally in the classroom in front of an audience of students and the teacher, those type of tasks. The final task I developed was to ask students to record their reflections on the use of the portfolio. This is a guided reflection where participants have to record their answers to a list of questions on their experience of the portfolio. And then I've had to make time to listen to each task as it came in and record feedback on it using Vocaroo. I posted feedback then to each participant on each task on Google Classroom. So now I'm going to go through each of these stages for you in a little more detail, just to show you how we're going about implementing it. But firstly, I just want to show you the tools that I used. I settled on 3 tools for this project, in addition to using Google Classroom as the sharing platform. So the first is Google Sites for the portfolio. Google Sites was really intended for very basic or rudimentary website design, but it works wonderfully for a portfolio. Vocaroo for voice recording, and Screencastomatic for screen recording. I was given good advice by a trainer on a course about using tech for online and hybrid learning. And he said, find a few tools that you like and get to know them really well. And this applies to teachers and students, I think. Get to know them really well. There's so much out there that it can become overwhelming, and there's no need to master a whole host of tools. So these are the 3 that I chose for this project. So I started, as I said, with an introductory email. I told the students what my project was and of the possible benefits to them if they volunteered. I was very clear to outline the support that they would get in creating their portfolios, because I knew that for some of them at least, this would be very new territory. And then I outlined what they would need in order to participate, you know, a Gmail account and a device to work on. I also gave them some idea of the types of recordings that they could make in a digital portfolio. And I think I did this possibly to draw them in a little bit, and what they could expect at the end of the project. I informed them that the project would be 5 weeks long and that they would get 1 task to complete per week for 5 weeks. So as I said, I created a Google Classroom. I called it Speaking Portfolio. And when I received an email response from a student who was interested in volunteering, I invited them into the Google Classroom where they could watch 3 introductory videos and get instruction on what I wanted them to do for their first task. And I used Screencastomatic to record these videos. So the first video, the first introductory video was an introduction to me and to the project. It gave them information on what the project entailed and the types of tasks I would ask them to do and how the project would be organized. I told them that each week they would get an email to go into Google Classroom and there would be a video and a task for them to complete in there. Once they had completed the task, that they would get feedback from me on Google Classroom. For this first introductory video, I included the camera on the screen recording of my presentation because students didn't necessarily know me, and I wanted to put a face to the project and a face to the feedback. But after that, for the rest of my instruction videos, I left the camera off and simply made videos of my screen. So that was the first of the 3 introductory videos. The second introductory video shows students how to create a portfolio using Google Sites and how to record a speaking online using Vocaroo. And then finally, how to insert that recording into the portfolio. And then the last introductory video shows them how to share their portfolio with me from Google Sites. So I'm going to demonstrate this for you now. It will take a few minutes. I'm going to show you how to create a portfolio using Google Sites, how to use Vocaroo to make a voice recording, how to insert that recording into the portfolio, and how to share a portfolio. We'll also take a quick look at a couple of portfolios from participants who have given me permission to share them with you today. Okay, so the first thing you need to do, you need to have a Gmail account, and you go into your Google Drive to open up a Google Sites for portfolio. You come over to New, you come down to More, and you come over here to Google Sites. The first thing you need to do is to give your site a name. Okay, I'm just going to call mine Nadine. Okay. And then this is your title page. So you want to give your portfolio a title. Okay. Now you can edit this in any way you want. You know, you can do lots of things here. You can change your font type. You can make it bold. You can resize it. You can change the color. I don't like that color though, so I'm going to go back to white. It doesn't hurt my eyes so much. Okay, so there's lots of different things you can do here. This is your banner. Okay, you can change your banner to be a full cover page. You can have the large banner. You can have a very small banner, and you can have the title only with no banner, which we can't see now because my text is white. So let's just go for the normal large banner. Okay. You can change the the image in your banner here, you can upload an image from your device. Okay, so I don't know, let's put in this one here. Okay, so you can take a photo from your own device and put it in there, or you can select an image from a bank of images that's provided for you. So let's take this nice icy water here. Okay. The next thing we want to do then is we want to add pages to our portfolio. So we come over here to pages. We click on pages, okay. And then we come down here to the plus sign to add a new page, okay. And I'm going to call this new page my profile. Okay, done. And then I'm going to add in another one and call it, for example, my reflections. And perhaps a third page, my videos. You can move these pages around. So the pages are listed up here. These are all the different pages of your portfolio, and you can move them around. So you can do reflections down to the end of the portfolio, for example. For each page, you can put in a different image. So that if you want, each page in your portfolio can have a different image at the top. So you can really play around with that a lot. And of course, you can change your text here and do whatever you want with this. Okay. Now, the first thing I asked the students to do was to come to the home page and to type in a little bit of information about themselves, or at least about the portfolio, just a one sentence introduction to the portfolio for somebody else to read. Okay, so how we do that is we come down here to the blank space on the page and we double click and we get this little circle up. So this is the way that we add different types of file or text or images or whatever into our portfolio. Okay, so here we can click on this and we can insert an image into the portfolio. Here we can add any file from our device. Here we can add a file, including a video file from Google Drive. And this one here we use to embed things straight from the web. Okay, the middle one here, the two T's, is what we use to add some text. So this is my speaking portfolio, for example. Okay, once again, I can add this text and present it any way I want and make it a bit bigger. Okay, maybe put it in italics, whatever I want. Okay, I can come over here and add a nice background to this section of the portfolio that I've typed in or that I've added a picture in, okay? So I can do a couple of different things. Again, I can add an image in from my device or from something that has been given to me by Google, okay? Or I can just add a style, a background color like that, okay? I can resize this box, I can click in here and I can add a picture. So if I go into click on this, I get my Google Drive. There you go, I can add a picture of myself. I can insert that in and there I am, okay? Okay. Right, so that's how we add text into to the portfolio. What I then ask the students to do after just giving me a brief introduction here is to go to the profile page and to add in a recording from Vocaroo, a short recording that introduced themselves to me and told me a little bit about who they were, why they were studying English, what they hoped to get out of this portfolio, and what their interests were, and so on, just a minute or two long. So I asked them to do that. I told them to go to vocaroo.com, and to make a recording. Vocaroo, if you don't know it, is a great tool for recording on a device other than your phone. It's really, really simple to use. So you go to vocaroo.com, open up the website, click on the mic, and start speaking. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. I can play it back to listen to it. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. If I don't like it, I can do it again. If I like it and I want to keep it, I simply click Save and Share. And then I have options as to what I want to do. I can download this file and save it onto my PC, which is what I do when I'm giving recording feedback for the students on their tasks. I save them all into folders on my PC. Or I can embed the code for the listening into the portfolio. And this is what we do when we want to put the listening into the portfolio. We embed it. So we simply copy the embed code like that. We go into our portfolio. We double click. And remember I said, this is the link we use to embed something. And we embed the code. Now be careful, we don't want to embed a URL here. This is what we do if you want to put in a link directly to a website. We want to embed code. So we click on embed code, we paste it in, we click next, there it is, we insert it, and there it is in the portfolio. Now, let me put a little background theme on there again, nice color just to define it. Now, I'm just moving my camera there so I can see the top of my page. Now, I hope you can see the top of the portfolio page here because there's some important stuff up here. If I want to listen back to this, or if a student sends me a portfolio and I want to listen to the recording or indeed to watch a video, I can't do it when it's in this mode. This is like the working mode, the editing mode as such. I need to listen to it in preview mode. So I do that by coming up here to preview. Once I click on preview, it goes into what I call presentation mode. And once it's in presentation mode like this, then you can play the recordings and play the videos. So let's play this. Hopefully the sound will come through for you. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then when we want to move out of it, we come down here to the bottom and we close or exit preview mode. And then we go back into editing mode. So if you want to, start working it again. So for example, my recording. Okay. Okay. So that was the content of video 2, showing students how to create and then edit a portfolio and how to make a recording using Vocaroo and how to insert that recording into the portfolio and then play it back. And in the next video then, in video 3, I showed them how to share their portfolio with me. Okay, so we do that by coming up here to share. We click on this. And the first thing I showed them was I came down here to links and I explained to them that if you click on change here, the draft, which is what we have at the moment that we're working on, is set by default so that only people who you add in, who you share it with, can view it. So at this stage, I'm the only person that they share their portfolio with, and I'm the only person who can view it. Okay. This bit down here, excuse me, published site public. The default setting here is anyone on the internet can find and open. Now, I explained to them that this is only relevant if they decide to publish their portfolio online, which is something you can do. And they do that by coming up here to the top and clicking the publish button. The default setting is once they publish it, anyone on the internet, if they have the name, can simply type it in and find it and open it up and listen to it or read it. Okay, so I say, if you're going to go public, you might consider restricting that to, again, only people who are added, only people who you give the link to can view it online, and it just keeps it a little bit more private. However, I tell them this doesn't apply to us because we're not going to publish the portfolio. We're just going to keep it private between ourselves. So to do that, they need to share it with me. They come up here, they add in my email address. There I am there, Nadine at ATC Ireland. I asked them to make sure that they have me selected as an editor. That was because initially I was thinking of ways that I could give feedback directly onto the portfolio. So I wanted to be able to go in and edit it. But in fact, I haven't done that. I've been recording the feedback separately on Vuckaroo and uploading it to Google Classroom. But nonetheless, I think it's good that I'm selected as an editor just in case I need to go in. So they select me as an editor and then they just send me the invite and I get an email inviting me into the portfolio and I can open it up, go into preview mode and then listen to it. Okay, so that's the portfolio. I'm now going to just show you the website I use for screen recording. However, I'm not going to make a video now. I'm just going to show you what I use. So I use this this website here, Screencastomatic. I do tell students they can use whatever screen capture or screen recording tool they want. But if they're not familiar with any of them, this is the one I use. I find it very good. I find it very easy to use and it's free. They don't need to pay for it. They can log in if they want, but you don't even have to log in. You can just simply record for free. You click on this and you launch the free recorder. Okay. When you first do this, you are prompted to run and install the software onto your device. Okay, but once you've done that, whenever you click launch free recorder, this box here will pop up onto your screen. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate it for you because the box will pop up on my screen, but you won't be able to see it, so there's no point. But basically, this little black and white box pops up, and you can resize this box to cover as much of your screen as you want. And whatever is inside this box will come onto your recording. And it's very simple. You simply click record. It counts down 3, 2, 1. You speak, record yourself, press stop, and then save it. You can save it directly into your Google Drive, or you can save the file onto your computer, which is what I tend to do. With the free program, the free plan at least, they can record for up to 15 minutes. They get a watermark, a Screencastomatic watermark on the video. If you sign up and subscribe and use a paid plan, there's no watermark. You can record for longer and you can use more editing tools, but really none of that is necessary for what we want to do. So the free recorder is absolutely sufficient. The videos that they send in to me are 5, maybe 10 minutes long, but never as long as 15 minutes for me personally for this. Okay. So very quickly now, I'll just show you or play for you a minute or two from a couple of portfolios before we move on. So I've 2 portfolios here, Sarah and Stefiana. They have both given me permission to share parts of their portfolio for training purposes. So we go into preview mode, remember, and this is the home page. This is my speaking portfolio. It is a collection of speaking tasks on a variety of topics in English. Sarah has, as you can see, put lots of nice different photos up here. Sarah is hoping to study medicine in an English-speaking country. That is the theme so far of her portfolio. And I believe the different pictures she has at the top are of old medical buildings in Germany. So here's her. I'll just play you a minute of this. I won't play it all.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a 23-year-old woman from Germany. In Germany, I'm studying medicine in Berlin. In addition to my study, I'm working as a paramedic.
Okay. And here are 2 videos she made for me. The first is a presentation on the place where she's studying.
Hey, my name is Sarah Hönicke and I study medicine at Charité in Berlin. I like to talk about my study at the University Charité. First of all, I would like to show you an overview about my structure of my presentation. I'm going to start with some information about.
And here she's done a recording on a book she's read.
Hi, my name is Sarah Hönicke, and today I'd like to talk about the book Tough, Building Through Mental, Physical and Emotional Toughness for Success and Fulfillment, written by Greg Everett. So, let's get started. First of all, I'll give you some general information about the book and author.
Okay. And then Estefiana, put her into preview mode. Okay, something funny's happened there. Okay, maybe we won't do Estefiana's. It's something funny's happened with the way it's loaded there. Okay, so you get the idea anyway, and then Sarah will keep adding videos to this page, or she can add in separate pages and put 1 video per page. And then for her last task here, she'll upload a recording of her reflections. Okay, so just to give you then a quick overview, I'm keeping an eye on the time here. So to give you a quick overview of the types of tasks that we did. I wanted the task to be quite open in that while I provided an overall task outline, I wanted students to come up with their own ideas for task content. Some students were volunteering because they wanted to improve their English for professional purposes, others like Sarah for study purposes, and others for more general social purposes. So I wanted the students to have as much ownership of their portfolios as possible. I wanted the content to be very personally relevant to them and to connect to their individual reasons for participating. But I didn't want to leave them so open that they'd struggle to come up with ideas and lose interest. So as we'll see in a moment, I guided them in the type of task and task outcome I was looking for. And I specified for each task if I wanted them to make a voice recording using Vocaroo, a video presentation using Screencastomatic or a tool of their choice. And for some tasks, I gave them the option of choosing one or the other. As we'll see for tasks 3 and 4, I gave them options in an attempt to meet the interests and requirements of the different participants. Something for everyone, so to speak. So task 1 was to watch those 3 introductory videos and then create their own portfolio using sites. And I tell them that they can format this portfolio any way they want. It's their personal portfolio. Then type a few lines on the home page, add 2 pages, my profile and my reflections. Then go to vocaroo.com and record a short introduction about yourself. I tell them, tell me a little bit about your interests, why you're studying English, what you would like to focus on in the portfolio, and what you hope to achieve with the portfolio. Then insert or embed the Vocaroo recording into your portfolio on the My Profile page, and then finally share your portfolio with me. So that was task 1. Task 1 went smoothly for everyone with the exception of one participant who was unable to use her mic with Vocaroo. Basically, she needed to give Vocaroo permission to use her mic. So this wasn't something I had anticipated, so I had to send her this screenshot here in an email. And this is something that I'll need to add in when I remake the video on using Vocaroo. Once I had received and given feedback on task 1, I then posted task 2. So I only posted it to those who had completed task 1 because I didn't want to overwhelm participants with all the tasks in one go. So I posted the tasks individually to individuals only when that individual had completed the previous task. So task 2 came with 2 instructional videos as well. Video 4 showed students how to use Screencastomatic to record over their screens. And then video 5 shows them how to insert that video into their portfolio. Now, because I wasn't able to explain this to you in my demonstration, I'm happy to share that video. If you wanted, you can drop me an email and I can share that video with you to show you how to do that. And then the task quite simply was watch the 2 videos, choose any topic you want to present on. I said it could be your hobby related to work or study. Create a few slides with images, texts or data, any slides you want, Google Slides, PowerPoint, Canva, doesn't matter. And then using Screencastomatic, record a video presentation and insert it into your portfolio. Task 2 went smoothly for everyone with the exception of a couple of participants whose presentations I couldn't access within the portfolios, such as this one here on chess. So I had to I had to contact them and tell them excuse me, that they needed to right-click on their video in Google Drive because they share their video from Google Drive, and then share it with me from Google Drive. So again, this wasn't something, it wasn't an issue I had anticipated, and so this is an instruction that will need to go into the next video I make on sharing videos in Google Drive. Task 3 then is a mediation task where I asked them to mediate a text and present on it. I told them I'd like them to present on a text or a story, and I gave them 2 choices. Task 1 is a mediation activity where they have to relay specific information, a factual text, you know, a news article or a report, a text related to work or study, for example. And task 2, also a mediation activity where students have to express a personal response to a creative text. And that's what Sarah did. Sarah, as you saw there, did a recording about a book called Tough. Task 4 is a descriptive task where I ask them to describe something and explain it to me or promote it to me. So again, I gave lots of choice here for participants with differing interests. So I told them to choose one of these 5 tasks and make a short presentation and insert it into a new page in your portfolio. So task 1 is present a product or service which you would like to promote, create a short presentation telling me why I should buy or subscribe to this product or service. For task 2, I asked them to use Google Maps to show me around and record a short presentation describing a place of interest. Task 3, presenting visual data, create a slide with some information that has been organized visually, for example, a diagram, a chart, or a graph, and create a short presentation describing the information to me. Task 4, quite simply present a picture, find a picture that's of interest to you, create a short presentation that includes that picture and describe it to me and tell me why it is of interest to you. And task 5, present a procedure. Think of a procedure that you must carry out, for example, in work, and then using a presentation slide to support you, describe the steps in this procedure to me. So they choose one of these tasks to present on. And then for the final task, I ask participants to reflect on their experience of creating this portfolio. So I provided them with this list of questions. I asked them to think about their answers and then record their reflections. Again, they could do a video presentation or a simple Vocaroo voice recording, and then to insert this recording into the final page of their portfolio entitled Reflections. For feedback, so here are 6 students who I've sent feedback to on task 1. For each student, I recorded my feedback using Vocaroo. I downloaded each recording onto my PC where I saved them in folders. And then from there, I uploaded the recording onto Google Classroom. I think I copied it into Google Drive firstly, and then from Google Drive into, into the Google Classroom. The great thing is that in Google Classroom, you can post to individual students, and it's very important that you remember to do that, that you select the individual student that you're posting the feedback to. This one has gone simply to Juliana and nobody else, because God forbid you should share all the somebody's feedback with all the students in the portfolio. So it's important to make sure it's being done privately. Okay, I'd like to finish up today. I'm aware that we're coming to the end now, but if I could just have a couple of more minutes just to talk about some thoughts on the role of speaking portfolio for assessment. From my brief literature review of this, there are a few strands of thought that come up again and again from the research carried out in this area. Now, much of the research into portfolios was carried out in the 1990s, and as such, much of the literature on portfolio assessment discusses portfolios of written work. So obviously everything we look at applies to written output, but the question is, can it apply to spoken output too? So I first started thinking about this during a training session, which I told you before, which was with Russell Stannard, where he presented this diagram to us and asked us, why not add artifacts from the learning program into our portfolio, which are formatively assessed along the way, with students receiving feedback for each artifact. Stannard uses portfolio assessment on his teacher training programs, where participants have to add both written and spoken artifacts into a portfolio. And these artifacts together are then used to summatively assess the trainees at the end of the program. However, sometimes extra items, he says, are needed in addition to the portfolio, such as an essay or a live presentation followed by a Q&A. And often such live presentations consist of a presentation of the portfolio and its content. Usually what is assessed here is not only the content, but also the portfolio owner's ability to reflect on their learning and progress. Reflection is an important element of any portfolio. But of course, there are other elements of a portfolio that we can assess, such as design skills and of course, digital skills. So perhaps the overall visual presentation of the portfolio, or the ability to create and embed videos, for example. So the themes or strands of thought that come up again and again in the literature on the use of portfolios are the ideas of agency and autonomy, ownership of assessment and learning, and the ability to self-direct. Intrinsic to this is the role of reflection within the portfolio. And I think it's safe to say that there isn't an article out there on the use of portfolios for assessment or otherwise that doesn't mention reflection and how integral it is to the success of portfolio development. As Biggs, a writer on assessment, says, the preparation of an assessment portfolio is an active process involving collecting, synthesizing, and organizing possible relevant items to provide the best evidence of achievement of the learning objectives, a process that demands ongoing assessment, reflection, and justification. I love this idea that students are given the opportunity to decide for themselves what they want to be assessed on, to select the most relevant items from their repertoire in order to demonstrate their achievement of the learning objectives. The idea that they can select the output that they think most worthy of evaluation, that they are given the time and space to reflect on their output and refine it, to take control of revision and have the opportunity to produce substantive revision to their work, and put their best foot forward, so to speak, for assessment. The result is that evaluation becomes a positive force to encourage growth and independence rather than a means of pointing out deficiencies. And during this process of reflection, learning is enhanced as students develop the skill of being able to identify learning needs and initiate further learning, thereby becoming truly independent, autonomous learners. So reflection is a major component of portfolio assessment, and it responds directly to this goal of training students to assess their own success. I think it's well established at this point that students can become better language learners when they engage in deliberate thought about what they are learning and how they are learning it, when they learn to step back from the learning process to think about their learning strategies and how they're progressing as language learners. Through the reflective process, students learn to identify gaps in knowledge or skills or competence, but also to reconfirm and document strengths in skills and knowledge. Excuse me. So this is it now. I'm finishing up now. So just to say, and this is very important, facilitating students to self-assess. It's important to give them ownership in the learning process, but they must understand the grading system and they must have access to the rubric. Without this, we cannot expect them to self-assess and reflect. So a rubric can be given for all speaking tasks, the same rubric, such as this, very simply, or different rubrics can be given for different types of speaking tasks. One for a task which involves a simple description, another one for a task which involves putting forward a case, and another one for a task which involves relaying specific information. And here it's useful to access the CF, the Common European Framework of Reference, for assistance with this. But of course, these are the grades from 1 to 5, from excellent to try harder, from emerging to advanced. And And each band here, of course, has a descriptor that the teachers can use to give feedback and the students can use to self-assess and indeed peer assess too. Or a rubric can also be given for whole portfolio assessment that considers, whether or not and to what extent all tasks listed in the portfolio have been included and are fully completed, the quality of the overall presentation, design elements, images, texts, and so on, perhaps digital competence in embedding audio and video, that all recordings are accessible with permissions turned on and are correctly embedded. And then finally, the quality of reflection, that the student can fully explain his or her strengths and weaknesses in all of the assignments provided and provide insightful analysis of his or her own work. And I would argue that this should always be part of portfolio assessment and even assessment of individual tasks within a portfolio if you want to assess. So to sum up, I believe portfolios give students agency over their learning and their assessment. They promote autonomy and independence. They're intrinsically motivating. They provide learners with tangible evidence of their progress. They provide learners with the opportunity to showcase their work. And I think they're fun. Certainly the feedback I've had so far from the participants is that they're really enjoying working on these portfolios. So I can't say at this stage if we will be successful in implementing them in any meaningful way, but I think with the right frame of mind, with the right level of support for students and teachers, I think we can make it happen for those who want it. Thank you. My apologies. I've gone over time.
Thanks so much for that, Nadine. It's a really fascinating project, and thanks for your very clear explanation of how you set it up and for going through all of those steps with us. And the activities were great. There was a lot of positive feedback about the activities and the choice and the range of activities that you were offering students. We do have 2 minutes, so if anyone has any questions for Nadine, please just pop them into the Q&A or the chat. Claire has a question for Nadine, but also for other participants today. She's asking if anyone has used Microsoft SharePoint for these types of portfolios, specifically for students who can't access Google Sites because of the country that they live in.
I haven't, Claire, no, I've only used Google Sites. I haven't even explored any other options. This is what was introduced to me at the very start and I've stuck with it. And I have had to ask students to set up Gmail accounts, students who haven't had them. But to date, there's been no issues, but that is certainly something to consider, yeah.
And where are most of the students who are participating from, Nadine?
They are from, we have quite a few from South America, from Argentina, from Brazil. We have students from Europe, across Europe. Yeah, I think that's it to date, South America and Europe to date, yeah. Yeah.
Great.
We're still getting students coming in though, as I said, it is early stages, so we're still getting students coming in.
Excellent. All right, well, I think that's it for questions. Yeah, it would be really great for us to hear about how this develops, and good luck with it. And I think, judging by the comments, you've inspired a few people to go out and try portfolios with their students as well.
Super, that's great. Thank you. I think it is a worthwhile endeavor. So fingers crossed it works out well. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Nadine, and thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.